What's going on, everybody? Jared Barnes here, back with another episode of the Jared Barnes Show. Today is Friday, January 1st, 2021. I haven't had an episode since everything kind of happened in DC. I really didn't feel like talking about it, but was told that maybe I should make a statement on it. I'm clearly against anybody when they do something wrong like that. It's kind of ridiculous that this is the point where we're at in our country. I'm not happy about it. A lot of people aren't happy about it. I'm hoping that we can come together at some point, and that's kind of all I got to say about it. But I want to get into sports because that's what I talk about best. And if you come here for politics out of me, you're clearly not going to get it. But, I got a guest today, Payton Doyle, host of the Payton Doyle Show. Good friend of mine, one of my favorite follows on Instagram, one of my favorite smaller sports podcasts. Payton, introduce yourself.
What's going on, man? I'm ready to talk, man. I'm ready to talk about sports. Thanks for having me on, by the way. First time coming on here. I'll make sure to have you on my show soon.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited that I was able to get you on because I know we've kind of talked about it before. We both have awkward record times for ourselves, which kind of sucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a struggle when you're just kind of like spontaneous, but I'm thinking that I'm going to get more consistent pretty shortly here, especially on the Sports Me app on the Wednesdays. I think that's a good day for me to set a goal for myself, 2021, maybe a New Year's resolution, something like that. And, expect new episodes on Wednesdays consistently for sure.
Hey, that's great. Good New Year's resolution, good goal to set. I'm kind of setting myself a goal. I want to do 2 episodes a week. I just haven't figured out the days yet. Again, it's early. I still got to figure that resolution out. But again, it's early in the year, and we already got a lot of drama in the sports world. The biggest story of the day really is Deshaun Watson. He's unhappy in Houston. A lot of people come out and saying he wants out. Deshaun hasn't specifically said it to himself. A lot of reports coming out. I think Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter recently tweeted about the Texans have tried to contact him over the last couple of days and have not heard from him. They've called him multiple times and nothing. But if he wants out, Houston is a dumpster fire organization, and they're in a bad place cap-wise. They're in a bad place draft pick-wise. I think this would be a move that would be best for both the organization and the player, because I don't see Deshaun Watson winning a Super Bowl with the Texans within the next 5 to 7 years, mainly because their future looks kind of dark right now, considering that they don't have a first-round or second-round draft pick in this draft class. I don't feel like they have a lot of great weapons in Houston, and I don't think that their offensive line over the next 3 to 4 years is going to get much better than it was this year. Deshaun had to pretty much carry that team on his back. I'm not sure how you feel about it, but do you think that Deshaun will be moved at this point, or do you think that the Texans are going to tell him he's going to have to stay put?
Listen, the league is becoming a players' league, and that is for sure. Deshaun Watson, as far as how he should be feeling, he should absolutely want out of Houston. I mean, they have failed to put around any sort of team around him that is successful throughout his entire career. And I mean, they've had solid defenses, but JJ Watt's aging. A lot of the guys on there, they're just not that good. And then you look, they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, his favorite target, and replaced him with Brandon Cooks. I understand he had 1,000 yards receiving this year, but let's face it, Brandon Cooks is nowhere near as valuable or as good or as talented or as anything as DeAndre Hopkins. And that became pretty evident in week 1 when he played with Arizona and instantly clicked into that offense like the last puzzle piece to the puzzle. I mean, he just fit in there perfectly. And you could tell that the Texans made a seriously devastating mistake thanks to the great Bill O'Brien. But yeah, I think Deshaun Watson should absolutely want out. I think the organization has shown him nothing that is going to make him believe that they're going to improve. I mean, he's been getting his butt kicked because he's had a poor offensive line for all these years. And I mean, he's managed to survive, and he's put the team on his back for the past however many years that he's been in the league, and they've actually made playoffs and won playoffs games multiple times. So, I mean, Deshaun Watson to me is still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and I think that he's playing on a bottom 5 team, and that is never good. And I think that he's going to definitely win out, and rightfully so, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I have him ranked as the 3rd quarterback in the NFL. I think he is one of the premier young talents. I think right behind Patrick Mahomes, when you consider guys, I think under the age of 25, he's right there at number 2. And while a lot of people, if you watch his film, a lot of people will say he's not the most accurate quarterback. Guess what? He's a great leader, and he's got a great heart, and he will put a team on his back if he has to. He had the Texans in a lot of close games this year. Yet, like you said, they're a bottom 5 team. A bottom 5 team is going to lose a lot of games, and that's been a massive problem in his career. Like the whole time, he has been one of the most sacked quarterbacks, I think, since entering the league. And Bill O'Brien tried to bring in an offensive lineman to kind of help that, and it did not work. Laramie Tunsil has worked a little bit, but it hasn't changed much. But when you get rid of his best option, you clearly put Deshaun in a bad spot. I completely understand why he's mad, and I agree with you 100%. I don't know where he fits best, but I think we talked about it in the lead up to the show when we were talking to each other. We kind of have a very similar idea where he might go, and that's Miami. I think Miami's Super Bowl window is right now, and I think Miami has 2 first-round picks this year. They have the Texans' first-round pick and have their first-round pick. I think they could trade those 2 picks. And as much as I love Tua, I hate to say that they might move on. The Dolphins could move on from him. But if you get the chance to get a guy like Deshaun Watson, you do that. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'd like to hear that.
No, I mean, like we talked about it before. I mean, I 100% agree with you on this. I honestly couldn't believe that you had the same idea that I had. I mean, that was just such a shock to me. I mean, I guess great minds think alike, right? I mean, we have a lot of the same sort of ideas around here sometimes. But, I mean, I think the Dolphins should absolutely consider possibly trading for Deshaun Watson. They have the picks to be able to do it, like you said, and they have a quarterback who is young and still needs to develop. And it would be devastating to his career to go to Houston right now. Mainly because he's not the most mobile quarterback, and he's going to be playing with a horrible offensive line, and it's just going to be nothing like the situation that he was brought into in Miami. But Miami has to look at this and say, if we get Deshaun Watson, the Dolphins are immediate contenders with Deshaun Watson. I mean, and I don't even think that's a question, because we just saw what Deshaun Watson can do with below average receivers this year. And I understand that's part of the reason that, you kind of excuse Tua, not you, but other people, they kind of excuse Tua saying, well, Devontae Parker was his best receiver and, he's okay. But Deshaun Watson led the league in passing yards, and his best wide receiver is Brandon Cook, and he's okay, right? I mean, he's the same thing. It's just different. You know what I mean? And the Dolphins should seriously consider this, because they would be, almost better than the Chiefs type of good with a guy like Deshaun Watson, who he's a game changer, a certified game changer, and he's able to put the team on his back, and he wouldn't even have to with that incredible defense and incredible coach, Brian Flores, that they have there in Miami.
And part of the reason with Deshaun right now, like you said, he's unhappy. I think the Dolphins is the perfect fit, because I think they have the salary cap when compared to other teams. A lot of the teams that were rumored to be interested in him, I saw the Saints, and everybody knows they're in salary cap hell. I saw the Bears, and everybody knows if the Bears give up too many picks, they're going to be in the same situations the Texans are in. And I saw the 49ers, and while I like the 49ers fit, I don't think there's a better fit for Deshaun if he wants to be moved than Miami. The problem is, I don't think Miami wants to move on from Tua, because I think the Dolphins organization, like a lot of other people, has kind of given Tua the excuse of, oh, he didn't have a lot of great receivers. Oh, he's young. Oh, he's coming off an injury. Listen, Tua's got a lot of upside. Tua's massive problem this year was he's not throwing with his legs because of that injury. So it's early, but his worth is still high because his upside is there. And if you don't fully 100% believe he's the guy, which they have not shown once this season that they actually do, because every time that they need a win or need something happen, they put in the magic man, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he gets the job done for them. They never leave Tua in the game when they need a win. And they've done it all year. That's why I think Deshaun's the best fit there. Everywhere else in the league that he might go, they're going to have to give up too many picks, and then they're going to be right back in that same situation that the Texans are in. That's just my personal opinion on it.
Yeah, man, I agree with that. I mean, I could see the fit with Chicago, but I mean, that would be, historically ironic if he goes to Chicago, because it's like they were scrutinized for passing on him for Mitchell Trubisky, and then they're like, wait, never mind, come back. Wait, we actually want you. Like it would be like actually like one of the most ironic things to ever happen in sports if he went to Chicago. And I mean, it would fit because he would have a great defense. Maybe they would be able to re-sign Allen Robinson, who I think is incredibly underrated and incredibly talented and great wide receiver in this league. I'm really high on Allen Robinson. I think if he leaves, someone's going to get a great receiver. But they might be able to convince him to stay with Deshaun Watson, and I see a good fit there. I don't know about the fit in the 49ers system, because I don't know if Deshaun Watson would truly be able to shine in that system that Kyle Shanahan has. He kind of has more of like a West Coast kind of like play it safe. I feel like Deshaun Watson thrives in more of a spread offense. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And New Orleans, obviously, but I think they actually want Jameis Winston to be their starting quarterback next year, in my opinion.
Again, great minds think alike. I think the same thing about Jameis Winston. I've been saying it for, I think, months. I've been saying that I think Jameis is the future in New Orleans. I've been shouting from the rooftops that Taysom Hill is not a franchise quarterback. And there's just no way I don't think the Saints could I don't think the Saints could, number one, take on his contract without having to dump Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. There's no way.
No, they're absolutely not. And that wouldn't even make sense. You don't blow up a team like that for a quarterback. I don't think the Saints are going to do it, like you said, mainly because of cap troubles. I think that the team right now is, Dolphins have the most to be able to do it. And I mean, I get Tua has upside, but like you said, they have not really shown us anything that is convincing to me that they believe in him. You know what I mean? They come out and they say, listen, we want him to develop and, grow, and we believe in him. But like, to me, Tua plays a little bit timid. And I don't think that I think it's a confidence thing. And that's an awful thing. If you have a confidence problem in this league as a starting quarterback, you are going to get eaten alive. And I mean, we saw him get eaten alive by the Buffalo Bills in a game that they needed to win. And I'm not down on Tua. I don't want to come off as someone who is hating on Tua. Tua has been through a lot. No offseason as a rookie, coming off a major injury. In a Miami team that's not really that talented on the offensive side of the ball, to be honest. He did well. Okay. But he also showed that he just checks it down too much. And now that might have been their offensive coordinator, Chan Gailey. That might have been Chan Gailey, who just resigned. But
Chan Gailey is the absolute worst. I'll just say that now.
Yeah, I agree. He did not do a good job. But we're going to see. And I think that's another reason why they're going to give Tua another shot, is because they're going to want to get another offensive coordinator to see if it was Chan Gailey or if it was Tua. But if the opportunity presents itself, you have to take Deshaun Watson. And there is absolutely no question about that. He is already a top 5 quarterback in the league, about to hit his prime. And you cannot pass up on that. That's plain and simple.
Exactly. There's not many teams in my mind that Deshaun could go to and that they could bring on his salary and give him great support. Every team that is on the possible list to land him is also another bad team. The Dolphins are, I think, kind of the only exception, but I think, like, we kind of both seem to agree that Tua is clearly going to be the guy there next year. And the only other team that could do it, and this thought kind of popped in my head because it's been rumored that Joe Douglas wants to make a massive move this offseason. He said this, I think he said this to put it into people's minds that he's looking to do something. And I would hate to see Deshaun Watson go to the Jets because the Jets are cursed, but they could do it. But I don't know if he's going to be moved. I think Deshaun's going to be part of the rebuild in Houston. I think you're going to see a new Houston team next year. And if Deshaun is that unhappy and he doesn't want to be there and they can't move, like they don't want to move him, but he wants to be moved, you will see him sit out. You will see him hold out. And the holdout really hasn't worked all that well for many people, but we've never seen a quarterback do it yet. That quarterback will be moved so quickly. It won't even be funny. But kind of moving on from Deshaun Watson, I kind of wanted to get your take, because you're a Browns fan, on the Browns COVID situation. How do you feel going into this playoff game this Sunday night versus the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I'm not feeling that good. But I'm going to be completely honest. If we had everybody, I wouldn't be feeling that good either. There's been 14 times where a team has played a team in week 17 and they had the same matchup in the playoffs. The team that won in week 17, they're 6-8. It's hard to play a team twice back-to-back and beat them back-to-back in the NFL. That's very rare. You rarely ever have to do that. And the Browns, I know they're not gonna have Kevin Stefanski, by the way, coach of the year, right? I mean, they're not gonna have the coach of the year on the sidelines. That's a devastating blow. And they're gonna be without Joel Bitonio as well. And on top of that, this isn't even COVID related. Olivier Vernon tore his Achilles in week 17. That's a big blow because he's our next best pass rusher outside of Myles Garrett. Our defense is incredibly hurt. The Browns' defense is incredibly hurt, and our secondary honestly is porous. And let me tell you, I was at the Browns game week 17, and you never get to see how great a player is until you actually witness them in person. And I was pretty close. I was right on the Browns sideline, maybe a few rows back. I was pretty close to the field. So you can see how players look on the field from there. Chase Claypool looks the part. He is incredible. And he had an incredible touchdown catch that I was in the stands and I wanted to be mad, as a Browns fan. But I just was like, dude, he is going to be something special for a very long time in this league. And when you have a secondary that is, subpar and banged up and hurt and hasn't played most of the year, it's not looking good when you're going against a guy like that who, honestly, you can cover him and it doesn't matter. And then you have Big Ben coming back. There was plenty of plays where Mason Rudolph, I would just look around and I'd be like, Ben makes that play. Mason Rudolph doesn't. So there's not going to be any silly mistakes from the Steelers this week. And let's face it, Big Ben and Mike Tomlin own the Cleveland Browns. Big Ben is 24-2-1 against the Cleveland Browns in his career, which is absolutely, that's insane. No one has bullied a team as much as Big Ben has bullied the Browns in his career. Let's be honest. So no, as a Browns fan, I am not feeling good at all about this. This is honestly incredibly scary, but I am glad to just be in the playoffs at all. For the first time in my life, the Browns have made a playoff game. I'm glad that we're there, and it's a good thing for the Browns, though. Even if they lose, even if they go out and just get embarrassed by the Steelers, which I hope they can at least put up a fight. You know what I mean? Even if they get embarrassed, it was a successful season. They got the monkey off their back that was kind of holding them down. It was that they couldn't make the playoffs. They couldn't make any sort of postseason run. They couldn't have a winning season. There you go. It's off your back. No need to worry about it anymore. It's not holding you down anymore. So go out there next season when everyone's healthy again and try to do better. But I'm really scared as far as this Sunday goes.
Yeah, you kind of said it how I feel. You brought up the Browns secondary. And the Browns secondary let Mason Rudolph throw for 315 yards. you said that you saw numerous plays that you looked and was like, oh, Ben makes that play. And let's be honest, Ben, maybe he's borderline top 15 quarterback in the league. He's not one of the best anymore. And he hasn't been one of the best in a couple years. And Mason is not all that great of a quarterback. And the Steelers, because I'm a Steeler fan, that's one of the reasons I brought you on this week, because the Steelers-Browns rivalry, the playoff game and stuff like that. And I'm glad you came on. But we're kind of friendly about it because I'm not a toxic Steeler fan. I completely get where a lot of people that dislike the Steelers hate the Steelers, because the Steelers fans can be pretty toxic and bad.
Yeah, trust me. I know. I know.
Yeah. And you kind of said it about Chase Claypool. Weirdly enough, Pittsburgh media kind of, for a long time this season, hated him because he popped off early in the year and then disappeared for weeks. It hasn't been until recently that he started making plays again, and that makes me very confident in the Steelers moving forward. As a Steeler fan, I would rather beat a fully healthy Browns team with Kevin Stefanski on the sidelines, everybody healthy. But let's be honest, it's a long football season. It's tough to have a full, healthy football team by the time the playoffs roll around. And I think this is a great thing for Cleveland to have made the playoffs this year, like you said, because it gets the monkey off the back of the organization. This year, you found out that you have a franchise quarterback in Baker. You see that you guys have a great run game. You see that you have a defense with a lot of potential, and a lot of players that didn't play this year are going to return next year. The Browns' future is a lot brighter than I would have thought it was going to be at the beginning of the season. I expected them to make the playoffs this year. I didn't expect them to win the division, but I also didn't expect Baker to play the way he played. I didn't expect the defense, after all the injuries in the preseason, to play the way they played. And I did not expect Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb to be as dominant as they were. And I like the Browns moving forward because I've enjoyed watching the Browns rebuild, and I'm happy they finally got to this point, because I get obsessed with the bad teams in the NFL because I like to see, are they going to be able to rebuild? And the Browns have been one of those teams that have broken the barrier and actually done it. And then you look around to the rest of the league, and the Jaguars, who I've been following since like 2010, when I was 10 years old. I've been watching them rebuild since then, and I follow a lot of the stuff the Jaguars do, and I am not a Jaguars fan. And when they drafted Blake Bortles, I thought he was the answer, and I was wrong. I was 14 years old, and I was like, this guy might be the answer, and then he wasn't. And then when the Browns drafted Baker number 1, I thought, oh, I'm a big Baker fan, but I thought that was quite a reach. But it turns out he's maybe the second or third, depending on who you ask, best quarterback from his draft class. So the Browns' future is bright. I'm excited they made the playoffs. I hate that this happened to the Browns this season after they made the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. But it's only up for here from Cleveland, in my opinion.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that you have a team that, one, is well coached. That's extremely important. I think Kevin Stefanski was an awesome hire. He has led that team, and they're all rallying around him. And the best thing about Kevin Stefanski is that he hasn't said anything that has been big headlines. If you listen, and this is just because I'm a huge Browns fan, but if you listen to his post-game locker room speeches that they post on Instagram, it's all about the work and the effort. And it's not about the show. Freddie Kitchens loved to talk about the show. He loved to talk smack. I mean, he was this big, funny, guy, right? But that doesn't work. When you're a leader, you're about working, you're about accountability. And that's what I like about Kevin Stefanski. He has got this team's head screwed on straight, and they're ready, and they want to win. And they have been for the most part. And I think that what they have to be careful of, though, they cannot get away from the run game. That is their bread and butter. And and we saw it against the Jets through 53 passes for Baker while all of your wide receivers were out. That's not good play calling. You should have ran the ball 53 times, most likely. You know what I mean? Just run it down the Jets' throat. And I mean, you probably would have won that game. That's their bread and butter. Nick Chubb, and that's another one that I haven't, that's my first time getting to see Nick Chubb really. I saw him a couple times a couple years ago, but this is my first time seeing him really up close in person.
He's
He
legit.
is, I mean, he's a beast. I mean, you saw
He
that
is.
44-yard touchdown run. He is a beast. And he averaged 7 yards per carry on the day. But then there was also a series down the stretch of that game that was kind of an important series where Nick Chubb didn't touch the field one time. And I could see him on the sidelines. He was just shaking his head. I was worried. I was like, did he tweak something? Is he hurt? Then he came in on the next series, and I was like, why did Nick Chubb not at least be in the game? When Nick Chubb's in the game, it changes it because you think, oh, like Kareem Hunt's good. Don't get me wrong. He led the league in rushing one year. Don't get me wrong. But I guarantee you, if you're a defensive lineman, you want to face Kareem Hunt rather than you would want to face Nick Chubb.
Agreed.
I think that Nick Chubb runs with such a power and strength, and he's sneaky fast as well. But he runs with such a power and strength that he can just wear you out, almost like Derrick Henry. In all seriousness, almost like Derrick Henry wears out defensive linemen. You don't want to tackle the guy. He's just going to get in front of you. And he's just so completely underrated. But the Browns need to make sure that they don't get away from that because he is their man. And I think he's actually legitimate, like Hall of Fame level talent, much like Derrick Henry and some of these other guys in this league. Do not get away from the run game. Do not get away from Nick Chubb. Don't try to get too fancy with it. Especially when OBJ comes back. Don't try to get too fancy.
I agree. The Browns' run game, like you said, is fantastic. And Baker, any quarterback thrives off of play action. But Baker has been one of the best this season off of play action. And when you have the running back like Nick Chubb in the backfield, who is literally like he's baby Derrick Henry at this point. He is. Like, he's a lot small. He's a little bit smaller than Derrick Henry, but he has the same amount of power. Derrick Henry has all that power because Derrick Henry's like 6'3" and 270. Nick Chubb is a lot smaller, but Nick Chubb is an absolute beast. My issue is
he is a lot bulkier of a dude than you'd expect. He is actually he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Looking at him on the field, I mean he's just a big, stocky dude. I'm not surprised that he runs with so much power.
Yeah. He doesn't look that big on TV, but then you see like his posts on Instagram, the dude's arms are literally this bigger than a watermelon, and you're like, how can one even be in the gym as much as that to get their arms that big? It's crazy. I'm excited for this game, honestly. I hope it doesn't get delayed because of the COVID, because the Browns had even more COVID cases pop up today, and I don't know how the NFL would handle a game getting delayed right now. Personally, it would be something nobody wants, and I don't want to see the Steelers get messed over by more COVID problems where they have to get a game delayed and then have a shorter week again because it's happened to them multiple times this season. I don't think the Steelers are going to go further than this game, but I think the Steelers, you said they're not going to make mistakes. The Steelers played down to the competition. Honestly, even with all the COVID problems, this game is making me nervous because I know how the Steelers are. And if they choke this one, man, the laughing stock that we will become quickly will not even be funny.
Dude, you don't even know. You don't know what it's like to be laughed at. Don't say that. You don't know what it's like to be laughed at. But
you're right. You're
the
right.
Steelers will deserve it, okay? They will deserve it. And oh my gosh, like, I don't want to be like a sore winner or anything, but if the Browns somehow pull this off this Sunday, and I know I said this on E on the mic when I said I'm gonna go crazy if they beat the Bengals, and I did. You saw the group chat. I was going wild. But if they win in the playoffs against the Steelers, the Browns, with all that's going on, oh my goodness, dude. I'm sorry, and I'm not gonna mean it towards you because you're actually a cool Steelers fan.
I know I don't take it too personally, because
all of your other Steelers fans friends, you know how they are, and you know how tough. Badly they treat us. They bully us Browns fans, and the problem is, for the most part, they're right, and we can't do anything about it. That's what frustrates me the most. You know what I mean? Because for as long as I've been alive, they have owned us in all aspects. I can't really rebut against that, but I'm like, there's no need to be mean. Like, you know what I mean? No need to be so rude about it. We're trying our best out here. But as far as you said about postponing the game, I don't think they will. I think we're gonna see, another situation where, it's just kind of, tough. And much like they did to the Denver Broncos, they didn't postpone their game. They didn't even have a quarterback on their roster that could play. You know what I mean? And that hurt them a lot. I mean, I know they probably, they definitely were going to make the playoffs anyways, but it hurt them to, play a game without a quarterback that they knew they were going to lose going into the game because you had a practice squad wide receiver starting at quarterback. I mean, it just hurts. And I think that's just going to be another situation where they're like, hey, listen, it's the playoffs, dude. This is just the state that we're living in now, sadly, in today's day and age, is COVID's a real thing, and we have to try to operate around it, and sometimes it might screw you over. And right now, it definitely feels like the Browns are getting a little bit screwed over by it, and it sucks, but, and everyone on the Browns, I'm sure, would tell you this. They still have a game to play. They still have to step up, and the guys that are there, the guys that don't have COVID, and the interim coaches, I'm pretty sure our special teams coordinator is going to fill in as head coach, and then our offensive coordinator is going to call the plays. They would be the first ones to tell you too. I'm sure they're like, hey, yeah, I know this kind of sucks, but we have to go out there and we have to make sure that we execute to the best of our ability, and that's a good mindset to have. And I think that they're going to approach it with that mindset. And honestly, there's just nothing you can really do about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the guy calling the plays for the Browns this week, I think his name's Alex Van Pelt. Only reason I know that is because I listened to the Pat McAfee show, and Aaron Rodgers was on there on Tuesday, and I guess the guy used to be at the Packers. Aaron Rodgers gave glowing reviews about him. So I like the guy. Looked him up. He seems like he's going to do a good job. Again, I don't know how this game's going to play out. I'm excited to watch it, but there is 5 other games this weekend because it is Super Wild Card weekend. And I kind of want to start at the top of the list and just go down. So the first game of the weekend is on Saturday. It's at 1:05 on CBS. It's the Colts at the Bills. The 2 versus the 7 seed. This is a game that I think the 7 seed could actually pull an upset because the Bills' run defense all season has struggled. And if the Colts stick to it with Jonathan Taylor, I think they have a shot to beat the Bills, although the Bills are the hottest team in football right now. This is the one game other than the Steeler game that I am looking forward to the most because, let's be honest, if you look at the rest of the slate, I'm not really all that intrigued by the NFC wildcard games at all. Those matchups, I hate them because the Rams at Seahawks, I don't even know who we're going to see at quarterback. The Bucs at the Washington football team, no one wants to see the NFC East one more time this season. And then the Bears at Saints. I mean, that's going to be another intriguing game. But back to the Colts and Bills. Again, if Jonathan Taylor gets the ball consistently, 30 carries in this game, the Colts actually have a chance versus the Bills.
I know you're really high on the Colts, and I know you have been all year. The Bills are steamrolling everyone. I mean, everyone. They put up 56 against the Dolphins defense, one of the best defenses in the league. They put up 56, and they played Matt Barkley and their backups for the entire second half. I mean, they are putting the beat down on everyone that they face, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I understand the Colts have a tough defense, but so did the Dolphins, and they got destroyed. And I do think Jonathan Taylor is a good running back. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see how Phillip Rivers is going to be able to sway the momentum here with in this game because let's face it, the Bills are coming in with tremendous amounts of momentum, and the Colts eked out a win against Jacksonville last week. And I know Jonathan Taylor was hot, but no one else really was. You know what I mean? And it's going to come down to how does Josh Allen do in the playoffs? Because last year, and no one's talking about this, and I'd be the first one to say it, which is weird because I am one of the biggest Josh Allen supporters, I believe, in in the small podcast community. I've been a Josh Allen supporter since he was in Wyoming. I thought the Browns should have drafted him number 1 overall. And
Great minds think alike again. So
yeah, yeah, of course, right. But he really did make some questionable, reckless decisions last year against the Houston Texans that, ultimately cost them the game. But I know this is a very different Josh Allen that we're talking about here. So that's why I would expect him to play great. And I don't see how the Colts are going to pull off this upset. I think the Bills are going to keep rolling. That's the moral of the story here.
Yeah, I brought up the point of the Colts possibly pulling the upset because in the back of my mind, I want to see the Colts succeed so much because that was like coming into the season, that was my most underrated team. I felt like that was a team that was not getting any love, but is a great football team. And they've proven to me all year that they can do it, but they only play good in one half. Literally every single game, they play great in one half. That's not going to be enough versus the Bills. My pick for this game is the Bills. I think the Bills win by 10. But if Jonathan Taylor and that offense can get going, and if they can feed Jonathan Taylor consistently, I really like the Colts' chances, though. I do, but they're going to have to possess the ball for literally 40 minutes, and they're going to have to make sure Phil Rivers only throws the ball at maximum 22 to 23 times.
Yeah, and that's a lot to ask, especially when you're going up against a Buffalo Bills team that is, they have offensive fireworks going on every time that they play, and you might be playing from behind. So you're going to be relying on the arm of Phillip Rivers rather than the legs of Jonathan Taylor. Let's face it. And, I just don't see how the Colts are going to win this right now. I just don't see it. And you're right, though. They were pretty underrated. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of sleeping on them a little bit. I didn't expect them to make the playoffs. I thought Phillip Rivers was more washed than he actually was, but it is a worry. You're right. They have only been playing good for one half of every game this year. Let's face it. They are not very good in the second half of games. We saw that against Pittsburgh. And, many times you see them. They had a big lead against Jacksonville last week at the half, and they almost blew it. And I think they're going to be playing from behind, and I think that, they're going to have to rely on the pass game. And I don't know how they're going to do that, especially against the Buffalo Bills defense that has gradually been improving throughout the entire season.
And no one wants to test Tre'Davious White, let's be honest. And Tre'Davious White is going to be on TY the whole game, and that is the Colts' best receiver. This is going to be a fun game to watch. The next game up, though, is the Rams at Seahawks. Personally, I'm not that interested in watching this game. I will be watching it, but I'm not that interested in it. Mainly because the Seahawks have not been playing great. The Rams did not end the season great either. It's a rematch of the NFC West. I don't know who's even going to be playing quarterback this week for the Rams. I haven't really dug too far into it. Again, partly because I'm not that interested in the game.
It's John Wolford. John Wolford's playing.
Really?
I'm at least 90% sure about that right now. I'm pretty sure Jared Goff is still out.
That's off. I figured because of what, did he break his thumb?
Yeah, he broke his thumb and he had surgery on it immediately. So.
And Drew Brees was out what, 6 weeks last year when he broke his thumb. So
yep. Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect Jared Goff to be back yet. I don't think Walford will be able to keep up with the Seahawks. It doesn't matter what Sean McVay dials up. There's just no chance. And the Seahawks might only score 23, 24 points in this game because, again, their offense has been so bad since it's been hit or miss since week 8. After Russell Wilson started off as an MVP candidate. So.
Yeah, no. I'm kind of down on the Seahawks, much like you are. The Seahawks, I understand that they got Carlos Dunlap. He's helped that defense out. But, this is not a great looking matchup on paper. You have the Rams, and they're going to be playing John Wolford, who, they won against Arizona last week, but Kyler Murray was out for 90% of the game. And, had Kyler Murray been in, I don't think the Rams are in the playoffs right now. They would be in the playoffs because the Bears ended up losing. But they're kind of out of the question. I think the Seahawks win this one kind of easy. But the Seahawks are kind of I love watching Russell Wilson. I think he's great, but he's fallen off a cliff the past few weeks here. And I mean, he just hasn't been looking as good as he looked in the beginning of the year. And this is going to be probably an easy win for the Seahawks, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, but man, I'm just really that's is the one game of the weekend that I really just have zero interest in watching. Like personally, and I don't know if it's because like I'm so down on the Seahawks and I'm so down on the Rams right now that just knowing that I'd rather not watch that game. The next game up though is kind of like it has a chance to be close or a chance to be a 20-point blowout, in my opinion. That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Washington football team. Now, with the events that transpired in D.C. this week, I'm still not sure if the game will be played in Washington. I'm not sure what's going on there. I know they talked and said it was still on, but who knows what's going to happen. Let's be honest, Tampa Bay and that offense, I don't know if they'll be slowed down, but the only chance that the Washington football team has is Chase Young and that defensive line to feast. And that's the only chance that they have.
I think that the Buccaneers are coming in with a dangerous mindset where you hear Bruce Arians, they're not undermining the Washington football team. And you hear Bruce Arians in the press conference say, hey, we're not playing a 7-9 team. We're playing a 5-1 team because they are 5-1 under Alex Smith as the starting quarterback this year. And I think the Buccaneers are going to beat the brakes off of Washington, in my opinion. And it hurts. I love Alex Smith. And, I mean, feel-good story of the year, him and Ron Rivera. Obviously, Ron Rivera beating cancer and battling it throughout the year and still coming to games and coaching games. I mean, that's incredible while undergoing treatment. And then Alex Smith coming back after what looked like a career-ending injury, and he was told he might die, told he might never walk again, told he might have to cut off his leg. What an incredible story for the Washington football team. But the Buccaneers have hit their stride at the perfect time, in my opinion. AB looks like business is booming again. And that's a big deal, especially with Mike Evans being banged up. That is a huge deal. And him and Tom Brady have a great and wonderful connection. And I think Bruce Arians has let Tom Brady take more command of that offense throughout the past few weeks. And I think that it's been working. And I think that the Buccaneers, they're going to handle Washington quite easily here.
Yeah, I agree. The Buccaneers really did hit their stride. I mean, they are red hot right now. They have just been beating the doors off of everyone they've played in the last couple of weeks. And that is, you don't want to get hot too early because you saw the Raiders and we saw the Seahawks. They got hot too early. Luckily for the Seahawks, they're good and they had Russell Wilson. But you saw what happened to the Raiders. They got hot, they beat the Chiefs, and then they dropped off of a cliff. And now they were out of the playoffs, eliminated. They got beat by the Ryan Fitzpatrick-led Dolphins. And you see, this was the final scores for the last couple games. The last 3 games that they played, hold on, I got lost on the notes here. Yeah, the last couple games that they played. So they played the Vikings, and then they played Atlanta, and then they played Detroit, right? I'm looking at that right? Yeah. No, that was Devin White. Never mind. Ignore what I'm saying here. Anyways, got lost in my notes. But Devin White's out because I think he got COVID or something like that. So I think that's going to be a little bit of a problem for the Buccaneers. But other than that, I think they are going to – I have them winning by 2 touchdowns in this game. And I think it could be more. It sucks that this could be the way we see Alex Smith's historic run here with the Washington football team end, because I don't think that he's going to return. And he has had a miraculous comeback, like you mentioned. It's been so fun to watch, but this game,
yeah,
let's be honest, it's going to be a blowout.
It is. And just I got you right here. I pulled up the Buccaneers' last 3 games. They played the Falcons, and that was when the Falcons had that lead at the first half, but their offense found life through the second half of that game, and it has been no looking back since then. They won 47-7 against the Lions, and then last week they won 44-27 against the Falcons the second time that they played them. So they have been steamrolling lately, especially after the first half of that Falcons game 3 weeks ago. They have hit their stride and they're looking great. And I understand these are not some great teams out here, but they have found it, I believe, and I think they're going to blow out Washington this weekend.
I agree. I think with Tom Brady, they're dangerous because Tom Brady has been here. He's done that. We've seen what Brady does in the playoffs. And that's one of the reasons.
He's been to the big dance. He
Yes.
knows how to play the game.
That's one of the reasons I have so much confidence in the Buccaneers moving forward. And I think that, honestly, of all the teams in the NFC, there's only two teams that I can see coming out of it, and it's the Packers and the Bucs. I don't see any other division winner that could possibly come out of the NFC. I think it has to be the Packers or the Buccaneers.
Well, I think you got to throw New Orleans in there at least because they have – first of all, Drew Brees has also been there, done that. I know he's won a Super Bowl before. He has a lot of playoff experience in his career, and they have one of the most –
spaghetti arm, though.
I know, but Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl with a spaghetti arm. Let's be honest.
But that Broncos defense was one of the greatest we've maybe ever seen.
Okay, but also right now, let's be honest. On paper, who has one of the best rosters in the league right now? And that's the New Orleans Saints. If Drew Brees plays this smart and he doesn't try to play hero ball and lets his teammates make plays while him just kind of facilitating, the Saints are going to be dangerous, and I think they could also potentially come out of the NFC as well.
Whose arm do you trust more in the cold? Tom Brady, Drew Brees?
Well, right now, Tom Brady. And Tom Brady also is tested in the cold before. He has a lot of success in December time up in Foxborough in New England. He has played in cold weather plenty of times. I have more faith in Tom Brady's arm right now. But I'm saying that the Saints don't have to rely on Drew Brees' arm as much as the Buccaneers have to rely on Tom Brady's arm. Do you understand?
Yeah, I got you. So we'll move on to – actually, let's just bounce right over. We're not going to go in order right now. I want to bounce over to the Bears-Saints game because we're kind of on that topic. And one of the reasons I'm kind of out on the Saints is because I don't think they're beating the Bears this weekend. I fully believe in the Bears beating the Saints this weekend. I do.
Yeah, that was okay. I'm gonna sound like I'm gonna sound like I'm contradicting myself a little bit here. My bad. I just accidentally muted myself. But I think the Bears have a chance. I do. I think that they have been playing hot right now. They didn't look that bad against the Packers, but ultimately, I think the Saints are probably going to win. I know they faced off earlier in the season, and the Bears, they got pretty close to winning that game, honestly. And that was with Nick Foles. Right now, they have Mitch Trubisky, who's playing way better than Nick Foles was this season. I see this as a potential upset, but I don't – if I was to pick, I am not going to pick the Bears. I'm going to pick the Saints. They are the better team, and they're honestly the better led team and better coach team. And they have the better defense, honestly. And I mean, it depends. Is Kamara playing? Do you know if Kamara's going to play?
I think Kamara is a game time decision. I know Michael Thomas. I know Michael Thomas is back.
Okay. Well, that's huge.
As far as I read that. I thought I read that earlier, but now that I'm looking at the game, I clicked on the game on my phone and it says that he's on IR still, but I swear he was back.
Well, we'll see. If Michael Thomas comes back and Alvin Kamara comes back,
it's the Saints.
Good night, Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Fire Matt Nagy right after the game.
Oh, well, you don't have to do that, but it's going to be, an ugly day for Chicago. But if Kamara's out and Michael Thomas is out, it's a possibility, but we also kind of sleep a little bit on Latavius Murray. He is a great backup running back to have, and I think that he could hold it down. He could kind of hold down the fort while Kamara's out for a little bit. But I mean, we'll see. What do you think?
I outside of Michael Thomas in the pass game, they have no other wide receivers. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders, he's okay, but we saw without Michael Thomas what that receiving core is. It's not much. And
No,
with
yeah, you're
Alvin,
right.
if Alvin Kamara plays and Michael Thomas doesn't, they're still going to be fine because they're going to feed Kamara. But if they're both out, the Saints are screwed. The problem is, I just read that Allen Robinson and Darrell Mooney are both questionable for the Bears. So the Bears, I'm picking them right here, right now. I'm picking the Bears. I'm calling it right now. Taking the Bears regardless of who plays.
All right, we got hot
And
take Jared
yeah,
up in here.
yeah,
Jared's feeling a little spicy today.
I can't,
Okay.
I can't help myself. I can't help myself. But I'd hate to see Drew Brees' career possibly end like this, especially if he retires. Just a couple, just bad luck. Because if the Saints lose, it's going to be on something that's probably questionable
Yeah.
or something that's
Just going
miraculous.
to be painful to watch.
Yeah.
And I doubt that Drew Brees is going to come back for another year. We've already heard rumblings of him wanting to retire this year. We heard it at the Pro Bowl last year. That would be devastating to have another first-round exit for the Saints and that end Drew Brees' career. I would love to see him ride off into the sunset. I don't know if it's likely, but I think it's possible, and I'd say they beat the Bears. But if they don't, it would hurt my soul to watch that.
It would hurt my soul, but again, I'm taking the Bears. I'm stuck with it. But going backwards now, because the first game on Sunday is actually the Ravens-Titans. I think this is the game that Lamar Jackson gets his first playoff win. I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Baltimore, but in the cold, for some reason, Ryan Tannehill tends not to play great. They have to lean on Derrick Henry. I mean, last year in the playoffs, Ryan Tannehill threw for 150 yards in the first two games. And then I saw this year versus Green Bay, he struggled throwing the football in the cold. I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Baltimore, but I think this is the game because the Ravens are hot. They figured themselves out. Lamar looks like the MVP candidate that he was last year again. And I think this is the game Lamar gets his first playoff win.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. I'm picking the Ravens as well. I said this on a podcast episode that I dropped recently, maybe last week, I'm pretty sure. We cannot go to sleep on the Ravens right now. I think that they are one of those teams that they're red hot. It looks like they're going to keep, rolling. And Lamar is a motivated man. Lamar, he plays for a purpose. Like we all said, he can't pass. Then he comes out, has a perfect passer rating in week 1 of his MVP season. And he goes, not bad for a running back. You know what I mean? He hears the talk. He hears the talk and he listens and he uses it as motivation. And I think that Lamar Jackson is going to find a way to win and just show everyone, hey, I can win in the playoffs. And rightfully so. He deserves it. He's been great. And a lot of people criticize him. Yeah, he does need to get better at passing. And I'm not sure if he will. But that doesn't mean that, first of all, Lamar Jackson is something that nobody has ever seen before. I mean, first of all, first quarterback ever to have two 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Lamar Jackson is unlike anything that we have ever seen before in the NFL. And I think that Lamar Jackson, his winning is going to be different than other quarterbacks in the history of the game because he is nothing like anything else in the history of the game. So yes, while he does need to improve a little bit at passing, that doesn't mean that he cannot win games the way that he wins games right now. So I think that he is going to go and he's going to go beat the Titans in Tennessee, by the way. It's not going to be in Baltimore. It's in Tennessee.
Oh,
so,
crap. That was on me. That was on me.
Yeah, no, I just realized that right now. I was like, oh, wait, the Titans are the higher seed. So it's going to be in Tennessee. I think the Ravens are going to go in there and they're going to win that game. They're going to handle business, and Lamar's going to say, hey, guys, not too bad for a running back.
My brain was thinking that the Ravens were a better team, so they got the home game. I don't know why I was thinking that. But, yeah, I'm excited for the playoffs. I know you're excited for the playoffs, but there is a game after we're getting football for 3 straight days, and it's going to be good football. There's a college football game that I am hyped to watch, especially after watching the way Justin Fields played. It takes place on Monday, and it's the College Football National Championship. Ohio State versus Bama. And I think Bama can win by 10 plus in this game. Jalen Waddle is set to be a game-time decision. I already don't think there is anybody on Ohio State's team that can cover Devontae Smith. Shaun Wade's good, but Shaun Wade got beat multiple times versus Clemson by – it wasn't even Justin Ross. No, Justin Ross didn't play. It wasn't even the other receiver for Clemson. I cannot remember his name right now, but it was like the slot guy, like the third or fourth guy on the roster that was beating Shaun Wade often. And if that guy's beating Shaun Wade, Devontae Smith is going to have a day versus him. I think Mac Jones is going to have a great game, and I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I'd rather see a competitive game than a blowout. That's why I think it's going to be a 10-point game. I think it's going to be a good game for 3 quarters, and then Ohio State's just kind of that's where they're going to lose it in the fourth, because that's when Alabama's offense will again come alive and probably put up some points in the fourth quarter. I like this game. I'm excited for it. I don't know how you feel about it, but
Yeah, I think Alabama's going to win this one. I think it's going to be an extremely high-scoring matchup. Like you said, Ohio State, their secondary is a little bit questionable at times, and I think that you have the Heisman winner in Devontae Smith and another Heisman candidate in Mac Jones, and then you have a great running back, and I'm not sure how to say his first name. I don't want to butcher it.
Najee Harris?
Yeah, Najee Harris. He's a great running back. And you have Mac Jones, who is facilitating that offense very well. And then you have the Heisman winning wide receiver. And you have tons of other great weapons on that Bama team. And also extremely well coached, by the way.
Yep.
Like with Nick Saban, probably one of the greatest college coaches of all time at this point. And he's been here before. He knows how to win. That team is going to be prepared. Ohio State, it's a great story. Justin Fields has a lot of fans now after getting hurt and coming back and leading that incredible game against Clemson in the playoffs, last week. But he's banged up. He is still banged up, and I'm sure he is still feeling that hit that he took in that game to the ribs. He is definitely still feeling it, and it might affect how he plays against a tough Bama team. And I'm definitely going to stick with Alabama on this one. I didn't think that Ohio State would beat Clemson, so we'll see. And because they did beat Clemson, so we'll see. Ohio State has been playing as an underdog throughout the entire playoffs now, so we'll see how it is. But I think Bama's going to win this one in a high-scoring matchup.
Yeah, I think it's going to be high scoring too. I mean, both defenses all year have kind of allowed a lot of yards. They don't give up a huge amount of points all the time, but they allow a lot of yards. And when you let that happen versus just mid-level teams, a great team is going to come in and put up a lot of points on you. I mean, you saw what Florida did to Alabama. They went toe-to-toe in the SEC championship game. So I would kind of consider this a very similar matchup, although Ohio State's weapons compared to Florida's weapons are insignificant, I think, other than like Trey Sermon. But I don't see Ohio State one bit just being able to stop Alabama's weapons. From John Mechie in the slot, if Jalen Waddle plays and he lines up out wide, I wouldn't be shocked if the first play Alabama just throws a bomb to Jalen Waddle and lets him run past the secondary. I wouldn't be shocked.
Alabama recently has become up in the conversation of wide receiver U, for sure. They have had plenty of great guys come out from their wide receiver groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just in last year's draft, they had 2 first-rounders. You think about this year's draft, they're probably going to have another 2 first-rounders. I mean, Amari Cooper, I mean, they have great receivers. Julio Jones come out of there too. Calvin Ridley. In my mind, they are wide receiver U. I'm excited for this game, but that's pretty much, all I had for the day. And I don't know if you have anything else to say, Peyton, or is that kind of it?
No, I mean, I think Alabama's going to win that comfortably, and Ohio State, if they get Trey Sermon going, maybe if they control the ball and keep it out of that Bama offense, if you win the time of possession, you have a good chance of winning that game, because it's almost like how you beat the Chiefs. Well, keep the ball out of Pat Mahomes' hands, in that offense. But A lot easier said
Tough.
than done.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know, it's a lot easier said than done. But I think Bama's going to win this one comfortably. It's not going to be a blowout, but it's going to be a comfortable win.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that game. I'm excited to watch the games this weekend. But yeah, Peyton, I want to again thank you for coming on. It means a lot. You've been like I haven't had a lot of guests. You and Ethan have been one of my clear-cut favorites of guests that I've had, and I just want to thank you again for coming on.
Thank you, man. No, I appreciate you having me on, man. I love doing this stuff. I'll definitely do it again sometime for sure.
Hey, absolutely. Again, everybody, thanks for listening. Make sure to go check out Peyton's Instagram at Payton Doyle Show?
Yep, it's at Payton Doyle Show. It's on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you can find it. And yeah, I mean, make sure you follow Jared too if you haven't already. If you're watching this for the first time, this man knows his stuff. He knows a lot about what he's talking about, and I got a lot of respect for this man. Make sure you show him some love.
Appreciate the love, my guy. Again, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the games this weekend. We out.